Okay, this is spoilers for the movie Unstoppable. I'd really suggest you watch the movie without spoilers. I enjoyed the movie, but if you don't think you may watch it or you don't care, here you go. Now, of course, you got Denzel Washington and Chris Pine. And Chris Pine's character, he's starting a new job. He's going to be like a conductor for these older veterans that have been around for many years working, and they feel threatened. That they're all going to lose their jobs to young people. And Chris Pine is supposedly related to some of the higher executives of the train company. So, the workers are kind of ticked off about that. But, so Chris Pine's going to be conductor for Denzel Washington, who's an engineer, and the deal with Chris Pine is he's a married guy, but his wife has put a restraining order on him, and he can't see his kid. This has all happened within a week. So, he's got this going on in his mind. Denzel Washington's got two daughters who are working at Hooters, working their way through college. His wife had died, so was a widow. But there's not much to this movie with that stuff. Basically, what happens is there's a train operator who needs to get his train off the track, and as he's doing that, he's got about a half a mile freight train. So as he's trying to get his train off onto a side track, he notices the switch is wrong on the track. So as the train is just crawling around, this moron jumps off his train, figures he can go pull the switch to get things back in order, and then he'll just be able to run back on the train and steer the train off to where it's supposed to go. But no, that doesn't quite happen. In fact, the train starts to pick up some speed, and he's trying to chase it down, and he can't get back on the train. Now we got a runaway train. And this train is picking up speed, and it's going up over 70 miles an hour. Okay, so now there's a panic going on. And one of the problems is the train is heading on a head-on collision course with another train carrying school children. So this is a problem. They try to get the train at a checkpoint to go off to the side, but that point is passed, and now they have to notify the engineer of the train carrying the kids that they need to get off on a side track, and hopefully it happens before the runaway train gets to them. And of course, it just barely does. We almost have a collision, but the engineer of the children's train gets off into a side track just in the nick of time. Okay? So that's the end of the story with the children. There's a lot made of that on the trailers, but after the first 15 minutes or so, that issue's gone. Okay, so now they've come up with a plan that they're going to put a train in front of the other train, the runaway train that's coming, and try to slow it down by braking the train, and as it's pushing from behind and trying to slow it down that way. And also a helicopter is going to lower some military guy down into the train to try and control it. Well, the plan doesn't work. The train isn't slowing it down enough, and in fact it gets derailed, and the engineer that was trying to be a hero ends up getting killed. And he's a friend of Denzel's, and and the young man they tried to lower down with the helicopter, he gets banged around, and he's knocked out. He might even be killed. We don't know. He's just dangling there from the helicopter, from the cable he's hanging on. So there's a plan that doesn't work. So now there's a problem with Denzel's train, his engineering. He's in a collision course headed for this. And he has to get to a checkpoint just in time before they collide. And he just barely makes it too. Although the end of his freight gets hit by the runaway train. But, you know, that's just damage to the train. No one's hurt. And the runaway train just keeps going. So Denzel's got the idea. He's just going to back up his train back on the track and go in reverse and try to hook up his runaway train and slow it down that way by going in the other direction. Well, all the big shot authorities are telling him, don't do it. We're just going to derail the train before the train gets to the small town, because the train is heading toward a small town that has a big bend. And if the train doesn't slow down to under like 20 miles an hour, it's probably going to fall off the track. And this train is carrying all kind of deadly toxins, and there's all kind of explosive tanks in the area, and it would probably decimate the town. So, you know, Denzel says, you know, the derailment of the train's not going to work. The train is going too fast. It'll go right through. The only option is he's got to go in reverse, try to catch up to it, attach itself, and brake it. Put the brakes on, and, you know, hopefully kind of pull it the other way. At least slow it down to under 20 miles an hour. They say no. Denzel's going to go through with it anyway. He says, Chris Pine, are you in? Chris Pine doesn't really want to do it, but his wife and child lives in that town, and, you know, he doesn't want anything to happen. So he's in. So, you know, this train's going in reverse, trying to pick up speed, you know, trying to catch up in time, and it's going along, and eventually they do catch the train, and they try to hook up to it. There's a problem though. Chris Pine has to get out, and he has to kick some levers or something in between trains, because there's something stuck and it's not hooking. And he has some close calls. He's hanging off the side, but eventually he gets the job done. He pulls himself up on a train again. He's hurt his foot in the process. He's got a big gash in his foot area through the boot. There's blood coming out. Denzel just tells him to wrap it up with duct tape. But he's wounded, you know, he can hardly walk on it. But the trains are connected now. So now Denzel's, you know, trying to go in the other direction, and hitting brakes and still trying to go in the other direction, but the runaway train is really powerful, and he does slow it down a bit, but not really enough. So they come up with the idea that they're going to go to each freight train on the runaway train and put the brakes on each one of those trains. Well, Pine is a little wounded, so Denzel says, I'll do it. So Denzel's hopping on top of the trains from one to another, going down, manually putting the brakes on. And this slows it down a bit. And he would like to get to the front train so he can actually get to the operations, the controls, and actually stop the train, but between a couple of the trains is too big of a gap, and Denzel just can't make it. He can't. He says he can't jump that far, so he's just stuck there. But they ended up slowing down enough, and as the train is going across the bend in the town, it goes up on the side wheels and it just hangs right on there, and then they get by. And it doesn't derail. Oh, by the way, the other people that tried to derail the train earlier, it didn't work. The train just went right through it. They had these gadgets they put on the track to try and derail it. It didn't work. The train just busted right through it. But anyway, it gets by the town. It doesn't derail. But, there's still the issue. They got to get this train stopped. It's still a dangerous runaway train. So then we see a guy come up on a pickup truck. I guess he works for the company or something. And he's riding his pickup truck alongside the train as fast as he can, and he's going to have Chris Pine jump in the truck. And he's able to do it, and he's got to go faster to the front end of the train, and then Chris Pine will jump off the truck into the cab of the train and get to the controls and stop it. And it's not easy, but it works. Chris Pine gets in there, stops the train, and Denzel's all pumped, and everybody's pumped up. I mean, there's people and cameramen and news all along the side of the track, all the way through. I mean, so there's always people there. It's on the news. And they save the day, and everybody's happy. And of course, the higher ups look kind of foolish because they didn't want to do this. But Denzel's happy. By the way, Denzel, they said they were going to fire him if he does this, and Denzel says, "You already fired me." I guess he only had a couple weeks to go before they were going to lay him off with half pension. Of course, all this heroics changes things, and now he's going to retire and full pension and everything. And of course, Chris Pine's wife and kid are there to greet him at the train, and they're all hugs, and everything's fine now with them. And you got the guy in a pickup truck. He's bragging to the news about how he was in his comfort zone, saving the day, and so it was kind of funny there. But I enjoyed the movie, and those are the spoilers. Take care.